You see, in actual fact, in arriving at an holistic evaluation of God's character, Prophet Muhammad is not sufficient for us to study as a data in that regard. That is because Prophet Muhammad, though he is a prominent prophet, he is the last of the prophets, he does not represent the whole body of prophets. He does not represent the whole system of the prophets. Now, in answering the question of must a believer, seek regime change in order to perfect his faith? Must a believer seek regime change at the cost of shedding blood? We need to look beyond the life of Prophet Muhammad. We need to look through the history of all the prophets, right from Prophet Adam all the way to Prophet Muhammad. We will now see if there are examples of believers who had lived under a secular government and were still able, to seek Allah's pleasure, and were still able, to practice their faith sufficiently enough, to earn paradise. Now, you see, it amuses me whenever in a religious discussion, you see Muslims, they are quick to, say that all the prophets that came before Prophet Muhammad, that they are Muslims. Technically, they are right, but we don't seem to, appreciate the practical implication of that statement. When we say all the prophets that came before Prophet Muhammad are Muslim, what it actually means is that it places a burden on us. It places a responsibility on us to, emulate these prophets, to, draw lessons from their life wherever it is, relevant. And in answering this question of whether, as a believer, whether your faith is complete with or without seeking a regime change, whether you will be able to, seek Allah's pleasure and earn paradise with or without seeking a regime change, it will be pertinent to look at the life of, Prophet Joseph, how he lived under a secular government and he was able to use his God-given knowledge to help that, regime to succeed. That regime was not a Sharia governing regime. It was not governed by the Torah. It was not governed by God's law. In fact, the regime is an adulterous regime. But yet, Prophet Joseph was, very comfortable in that regime and was able to use his God-given knowledge to help that regime to, to succeed. These are many more we would, look at in subsequent videos.